Welcome to Audio Branding, the hidden gem of marketing. Sound plays a more important role in human behavior and our decision-making than you may realize. In this podcast, I'll help you understand the art and science of sound so you can better influence others in business and your life. I'm your host, Jodi Krangle. Let's delve a little deeper. Thanks so much for joining me, Lowry. I appreciate it. And a little bit of a snafu this morning, but that's okay.
Yes, often the case.
Technology is wonderful when it works.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'm glad that you're here and that you made it. And I'd like to get right into things because I know we have a lot to talk about. But the first thing that I want to ask you is if you have an early memory of how sound moved you.
Well, my earliest memory of making my own music was as maybe a 3-year-old on the prairies and listening to the meadowlarks and trying to imitate them, whistling, trying to imitate them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was, my dad whistled all the time too, so probably, that is what triggered that idea, but yeah.
I love that. Yeah, actually, my dad did that a lot too. The whistling. Yeah, we had a lot of birds in our backyard growing up that I remember that. You just triggered that memory in me too.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that's how I have a little sister. That's how my dad would corral my sister and I. He'd whistle in environments where there was a crowd or something like that. We always knew where where our dad was.
Huh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah. Well, it's had a lasting effect. You're still in music.
Yes, definitely. And I want to ask you about that too, because how did you get into music from imitating skylarks?
Well, my mom was a piano teacher and, player, and my dad played sax. He wasn't a professional musician, but we all grew up taking piano lessons, and I switched to violin when I was 9, but we had, always sing songs around the piano. I'm older than you are, I think, Jodi. So it was like, we didn't get a TV till I was 8.
Oh, okay.
And so it was radio and the record player kind of thing, but making a lot of our own music. And I just, I loved music. I think we all just sang. It was just natural, but I liked performing. And I got into musicals and, that kind of stuff when I was pretty young, being in the chorus line, chorus boys in Carmen and stuff like that. And then I started, one of my cousins taught me how to play guitar. And, it's like, wow, 3 chords and you can play anything. And so
pretty much.
So I was really, I was playing Down in the Valley and that kind of countryish stuff. And then when the Beatles hit and that kind of stuff, that was, I was just really into writing songs. So I started writing songs probably when I was about 11, maybe. And I loved the process. I loved the adulation. It didn't really seem to matter that the songs weren't necessarily that good. People clapped, and I did a couple of talent contests and made a little money, even stuff like that. So there was plenty of incentive.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But mostly I just loved it.
Oh yeah. So what about it do you love in particular? I mean, you seem to love the performance aspect of it. So like the clapping when you're doing a performance, like the energy from the audience.
Yeah.
But is there anything else about it that really appeals to you?
Yeah. And I think, it's, and seriously, it's not really the clapping. It's more the connection, and it's more that, you can express yourself in your truest form, who you are. And I've always done that. Even, my first albums, the kind of songs that I wrote way back, they were just on my own terms. And I wasn't, people would say, oh, you should write country music, that's where the money is. And it's like, well, I'm not doing that. It was always for me. I think I found out in high school that my friends would really resonate with the songs that I was writing, even though, they were at whatever level they were at, but they were just these really kind of honest songs. And that's around the time that Joni Mitchell started coming out. But,
Oh, yeah.
my heroes were Gordon Lightfoot and Joni Mitchell and Bruce Cockburn and all the Canadians. That... And Gordon Lightfoot, of course, he's like writing the hooks, right? These catchy hooks. And that's what I really go for, is like, how do you make something super catchy and super memorable so it sticks in people's heads? That's my goal.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you got something of value to say, then how do you make it stick? How is it going to be super sticky?
A great point.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me into the whole SongBrand thing. So you've created something called SongBrand. Can you talk a little about what that is and why you created it?
Well, it's song brands are like a little jingle, really, for lack of a better word. They have. The idea is that if you're a coach or a speaker, what I was seeing a lot with speakers was that they were walking on stage to like some, hit, Katy Perry hit or something, and then they'd use it. And coaches, a lot of coaches speak, and then these people, they were all using music, but it was just a mishmash, and they were not using it strategically. And the more that I learned about audio branding, the more I realized that people really, need to be educated about the value of this stuff, because they really just blow it off. They think, oh, well, it's just music. And so many times people say to me, well, we're not going to spend any money on the song because we spend it all on the video. Well, but the video has a lifespan of what, 2 years, 3 years, whereas these melodic ideas, how old is that idea?
Yeah.
Or the theme from Jaws that creates this feeling. So those are the musical aspects of that. But when you tie that into a lyric, it just makes the lyric, if it's a tagline, it makes it just literally unforgettable. It makes it really relatable. It makes you relatable. It lifts people up. So I started writing songs for speakers to walk on stage to their own song, and then when they'd have their sizzle reel, people would hear their song again. And if they went to a training, or they would hear the song again. And so there was this audio consistency that also had the effect of lifting the person, the speaker themselves. They would say to me, when I walk on stage to my own song, it's like I don't show up small. This is who I have to be to walk on stage to, like, mind switch, I'm ready to fly, right? And they're, they are making their brand. People are walking out of there with their song stuck in their head, not a Katy Perry song.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. Definitely. Having your own brand out there in audio certainly makes a lot of sense. And as you say, it's really memorable. I mean, how many of us remember the jingles from 30 years ago?
Well, even ba-da-ba-ba-da.
Yeah, exactly.
The McDonald's, 23 years on that one.
Yeah.
And what did they spend? $6 million or something on that, and they remixed it like 213 times. I mean, it's unbelievable. The people that know the value of this stuff, they don't mess around. But I noticed a TD Bank commercial a couple of days ago that now has a jingle. It's like, okay,
TD
so
Bank. Yeah, they worked with Cesium Song.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Trust you to know this.
Well, I had Valentin Fleur on the podcast not too long ago, and he's the one who worked on that with them.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Interac has some stuff going on too, which is really interesting. It's nice talking to a fellow Canadian because then we kind of recognize the same brands.
Yeah, right, exactly. But what seems to me is that what's interesting to me is that it used to be that the only people that could afford to do this were the big people that had big advertising budgets and TV and radio and stuff. But the fact is, your average coach is using music in all kinds of ways. They're doing reels, they're doing trainings, they've got a Zoom waiting room. They have all kinds of. They've got a phone that can ring. A realtor is doing. They're doing home video tours, and they're using some cheesy music.
Yeah.
Or even if they use good music, they're still missing an opportunity to become more relatable, to make to put across some tagline that talks about their values and who they are and builds trust. So to me, like, these are easy things that all of us can do now.
Oh, yeah. Have you worked with a real estate agent, right? Didn't you?
You know what? I haven't yet, but I want to.
Oh, you haven't yet?
No,
okay.
I haven't. I worked with a woman who
Okay.
came out of the blue to me. She sells Medicare insurance, and her song is called "Make Medicare Simple," because her people come to her and she's American. They're just overwhelmed because the deal in the States is when you turn 65, you got 9 months to get your application in. If you get it wrong, they deduct 10% of your income for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's high stakes. People come in, they're stressed, and it's very confusing. And so when we were writing her song, I said, well, what do you do? And she said, well, I just make it simple. And I said, well, I think that's our tagline.
That's perfect right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so it's super fun because when I write the song, we produce it. Her song is about, I don't know, 15 seconds long.
Sure.
And it kind of covers the basis in terms of building, sort of answering people's questions about her. But ultimately it just creates this it's got a Jimmy Buffett vibe.
Yeah.
Put your mind at ease. That's the last line. And so, when people hear this, they feel better already. There's pictures of her working with clients. And she sends it as a musical business card when people make an inquiry. She just texts it to them. So there's
nice.
They don't have to go to a website. They don't have to do anything. It's instant. And she said people they sing it back to her. Make Medicare simple. Make sure you've got the facts. Make sure you've got Newton. Newton's got your back. Make sure that you're covered. She'll help you get what you need. Make Medicare simple. Put your mind at ease. Make Medicare simple. Put your mind at ease.
I know that you've worked with a whole bunch of different people doing song brands. How do you work with someone when you're starting with a new client, let's say?
Well, I send them a lot of questions. My goal is to really we co-write the song. I can't write the song without them because they know what words they would use. They have to really take ownership of the song.
Sure.
And so I get them to send me like any taglines they've ever considered, any words or phrases that they think should be in the song. If it's a coach or a speaker or anyone, actually, I get them to send a note out to their clients and people that say, I'm working with a professional songwriter. I'm going to write my signature song. What do you remember? What did you learn from me? What stood out? What has impacted you? What's that value? Because ultimately, I want to create a song that is of value to their clients as well. Mm-hmm. Right. So like yesterday, I wrote one with a coach who she's moving from leadership coaching into coaching retirement people. And she had some key strategies, some things that she wants people to do. And the song is called Light the Fire Within. And it has these lines like, hold yourself lightly, which is like, don't think things too seriously or be kind to yourself. Mm-hmm. Certain lines in there that are of service to people. And so when she sent me like probably 25 pages of different things that she'd done and stuff so that I could really get a sense of who she is. And the way I have been working a lot lately is based on that. And then I asked them who they wanted to sound like. So in this case, she was she really resonated with Carrie Underwood.
Okay.
Who's, kind of a little bit country, but upbeat, strong woman, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And so I actually ended up writing, or I usually come to the session with something written. So I've got, 4 lines or 8 lines and a melody and that whole thing, which I present to them. And there's no obligation for them to say that they like it. But they often do. and then at the very least, it's a starting point, so they can come in and say, well, I like this, but I don't know about this word here. And so then together we start to nuance it and change a word here and there and do things like that until we really feel like we've nailed it and they love it and I love it too. And then we sit on it for a week and we come back and if we need more time, then we'll write on it. We don't do production until we love the song.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of the process. And then once then we have it produced, and I have a team of different producers that I work with according to the genre. And the singers, we have a bunch of different singers that we'll use according to, what we think the audience will relate to, what they like, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I make video with photos and whatever, video footage they might have. We have a song launch party on Zoom and invite their friends and stuff.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, and then the last thing is that we have a strategy meeting and talk about how we're going to implement it and stuff, because I want to make sure these songs get used and that they're always thinking of people are always finding new ways to use their song. It's fabulous.
What are some of the most creative ways that you've seen people use these?
Well, one of the fun ones is just having it as a ringtone on your phone, because that's a great conversation starter, right? Oh yeah. But I had somebody who was doing meditation, like as a relaxation. It's like, well, we could incorporate, the melody of this and part like that into your meditation tape. And so,
such a great idea.
It brings people back if they've done, and like sometimes people are using these in their trainings. Mm-hmm. So, at a live event or a virtual event, they play the song. And if there's a key, if there's a key phrase, if their tagline is something that's a reminder of a key part of their teaching, like, light the fire within, or, live the life you love, or whatever, any of those kinds of things, they'll get people to sing them back to them. And people don't want to sing, but they'll sing like 5 words.
Yeah.
Right. And what happens then is there's this change in the chemistry, literally, this, I'm sure, the brain chemistry of people, oxytocin, we're flooded with this. All of a sudden, people feel more connected to each other. They feel better, right? And so all of these things are just, there are all kinds of different ways. But so many of my clients say, and my clients sing it back to me. They sing my song back to me.
Because they feel connected.
They do.
That's
and it
good.
means, they love them. It speaks to them. And like, to me, that's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah. So are there any other song brands that you've done that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I mean, I love them all, really.
They're all, it's like asking you for a favorite child, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I like it when they're getting used in lots of different ways. Mm-hmm. I really like it when they inspire the person themselves to be, so it's like a personal power song.
Sure.
There's one I wrote for a guy recently called Bring Your A Game,
Okay.
So again, the metaphor, a baseball metaphor, but for him it was particularly meaningful because he used to be a baseball player and he'd kind of lost sight of that part of his life and forgotten about it. And ironically, when we sent out the note to his past clients and stuff, and it's like, what do you remember that, Jim said? It's like, bring your A game. And I'm saying like, well, that's pretty cool. Bring your A game. Yeah. And so that was what I ended up writing. And then I said, do you relate to this? And he's like, oh yeah. I said, like, I used to be a ball player. This was who I was.
Step up to the plate. Show us what you got. Bring your A game. Your A game. Keep your eye on the ball. Get it out of the park. Bring your A game. Your A game. Bring your A game. Every time. Every time.
Yeah. So his video is even going to have pictures of him as a kid, standing at bat. And so, for me, I think with music generally, what I love is when it can lift people and it can connect people to their essence and, that kind of stuff. So that's, even with my own songs, when I play a concert or something like that, I'm trying to make people feel things. I want to lift them and inspire them and do that. And I think, we can do that even in branding,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, you're kind of, well, definitely you're preaching to the choir here.
Yes.
I mean, that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. And if you like what you heard, why not tell a friend about this podcast? It's available in all the usual locations. Until next time.